What is going on, everybody? I'm a little bit late to the party here tonight, but let's jump in and talk about tonight's episode of Big Brother Canada. So this is feeling like it's really like our first, it kind of feels like the start of our first real week of the show. Last week we just really had the team competition with everybody on the losing team on the block except the captain. And this week we're going to have an HOH nominations veto, all of that. So post eviction, we do get a little glimpse into Julie are really trying to throw Josh under the bus as she's headed out the door. So I don't know if there'll be any fallout from that, but not looking good for Josh, who already kind of had some people fairly suspicious of him. HOH competition, we jumped right into it, and this one was an endurance balancing type of competition, and it just did not go well for Team Defender at the start. We had, I think, the first three contestants fall, and in the end comes down to Austin versus Latoya, Latoya ends up being the last to drop, and Austin is our first real HOH of the season since she won Amazon Team Destiny. Team Destiny is all safe for the weekend, week, not just the weekend. So good for them, but things are just having a pretty bad start for Team Defender, who will lose the first two house guests of the season. Also, were given a group dilemma, so each team had to make a decision, and depending on how each decided would determine the fate of food in the house. This was a weird one for me because it felt like Team Defenders had no choice but to pick share. Like, you don't want to create that huge target on your back, and you don't want to piss off the people who hold your fate in their hands, and potentially give them even more ammo and reason for voting and nominating you. The Team Destiny, on the other hand, I thought they would have been totally warranted going for Steele. They ended up picking share in the end, but it looked like they could end up picking Steele. And I would have been interested to see the animosity level in the house if they had chosen Steele. But, from my point of view, like, you're already us versus them. So if you take this bonus, it's still us versus them, but you had a really nice meal and get an advantage in the POV. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. But anyway, they both end up picking share. It's a PB&J meal for the week, except for Austin and Victoria, who get that sneaky Wendy meals in there. So good for them. Let's get into a little bit of behind the scenes of this episode. Beth and Austin, this is kind of a new development that I didn't see last week, and Beth and Austin, they've made a final two, and it kind of almost feels like Austin is replacing Julie with Beth, because they kind of still had Brayden with them to have a mini alliance there. Nothing formal as of right now, but three people working very closely with Beth and Austin having a final two. So that will be something to watch moving forward. Kiefer, he was freaking out a little bit. He kind of knew that he was headed to the block, especially when he was trash talking Austin a little bit during the HOH competition, which was not taken well by some of the people in the house. So he's on the block and will be sitting there beside Josh, who just doesn't have anyone's trust. He's kind of been forced to play this loner game because no one has confidence in him, and even though we're like not even a week into the game, people don't trust him, and at this point I don't think they're going to trust him. If I'm in the house, that's a person I'm happy to just leave in the house, because no one's gonna trust him. He's gonna be a floater and a loner the whole season, and just really not a risk at all take anybody else. anybody out. We got a potential showmance brewing as well with Beth and Ty. That could be interesting. We haven't really seen many sparks between angles, except they did show us that little cutscene of everyone being in love with Jetson. But potential showmance here, potential power couple in the Big Brother house, Beth and Ty. So as I said before, Josh and Kiefer, those are the two nominees on the block. Very, very much the easy targets for Austin this week. I don't really think that that's a bad move at all whatsoever, because as long as no one wins the POV, then she should be pretty safe and pretty solid moving forward and not get too much blood on her hands this week. So we'll have to see what happens in the POV on Wednesday and the eviction on Thursday. But that's all I got for now. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you later.